Hey, this is Jeff Pilson of Foreigner, Dokken, Dio, The End Machine, Black Swan, Heavy Hitters, the list goes on. And you're listening to the Nothing Shocking podcast, my favorite. Tune in. See you soon.
Want to know what's going on in the world of music? Then tune in to the Nothing Shocking podcast, a non-genre based, all ages friendly rock and roll program. Join us weekly for interviews with all your favorite rock stars from the mainstream to the underground. You can find us at nothingshocking.libsyn.com or anywhere you download podcasts.
Welcome to the night. You think you know Night Demon? Then the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast is for you. Step into the darkness as we peel back the curtain to give you an unprecedented, all-access look into the mind and the heart of the demon. We're talking band history, song analysis, studio anecdotes, stories from the road. It's everything a diehard Night Demon fan could want and more. This is the only place to learn the inside scoop, the deep dive trivia, the untold tales from the band members themselves and those closest to the Night Demon story. Need more? The sacred Night Demon Crypt will be pried open to reveal demo recordings that have never before seen the light of day, all with in-depth commentary by the band and the people who were there for the writing and recording process. This is a gold mine, a treasure trove of all things Night Demon. Head over to nightdemon.net or wherever you listen to podcasts.
We're putting the band back together.
The numbers all go to 11.
I'm talking about bands that rock. Led Zeppelin. What about Sabbath? AC/DC. Motorhead.
Does that mean it's louder? Is it any louder?
Well, it's one louder, isn't it?
We're not worthy. We're not worthy.
Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
These go to 11.
I get up off the ground and raise my head. Days like this, think I should be dead. One for Satan, two for me. Let's cheat the devil, it's fun, don't you agree?
Welcome to the Nothing Shocking podcast. I'm your co-host, Jeff Untied, and with me in Dog Bowl Studios is
Coach Nez.
You can find the Nothing Shocking podcast on Libsyn or any podcatchers. Like our Facebook page or follow us on Twitter at NoShockPod.
You can also find the Nothing Shocking podcast on Rock Rage Radio every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. Central Time. Our sponsor is Ragged Records, located in downtown Rock Island, Illinois, and downtown Davenport, Iowa. We'd like to thank the Hong Kong Sleepover for allowing us to use their music for our intro and bumper ending. Tonight's guest is
Jeff Pilson, formerly of Dokken.
And currently of Foreigner.
And The End Machine and Black Swan.
Yes. He was on the podcast. I don't know if he's not endorsing, but he was kind of letting us know about Elk Audio.
Yeah, it sounded really cool. Like if you're musical artists out there and you're recording tracks on the internet with your friends, it sounded like a pretty cool way to reduce the time lag in between so you can play together
simultaneously, no delay.
Yeah,
and it's real handy during COVID times, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a great interview. He also talked about some other projects and other bands he was in, like Wild Horses.
Yeah.
So, and he kind of clarified some things about the Wild Horses album. It was a great interview. Let's get to that interview.
All right. Good night.
Good night. Jeff, welcome to the Nothing Shocking podcast. I would like to introduce you to my co-host, Jeff Untied.
Hey, what a great name.
Yes.
Well, first of all, we want to thank you for agreeing to do this, and please thank your PR person for us. They were fantastic. But as COVID-19 has been suffocating the music industry the better part of 2 years now, how have you kept yourself busy?
Well, I'm very fortunate. I have a beautiful recording studio connected to my home. So I've done lots and lots of recording, lots of projects with that. And that's kept me busy. And then I've got my family, which is nice to spend time with them. So So it's been family and recording, basically, which is fine by me.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, when I got some information back from your PR person, they had discussed that you would like to elaborate a little bit more on Elk Audio. And can you kind of explain to our listeners exactly what Elk Audio is?
Sure. Elk Audio is a new technology from a company called Elk Audio that is located in Sweden. And it basically, I mean, they do some other things as well, but the technology we're working with them on allows you to play over the internet in sync together. It's crazy. It's just amazing. It's going to be a game changer. So what we're doing is 4 of us from Foreigner are getting together, and we're going to do a cover of the Beatles' Because to really show how intricate this thing can work. Because Because has all those vocals and everything. It's going to be quite the feat. But anyways, we're going to do that into a medley, and I believe, I'm not sure when it's going to air, but at some point you'll get to see the live presentation that we did, and it's just phenomenal to be able to play all over the internet as long as you're within 200 miles of each other, and be in time. It's just crazy, and it's amazing.
This past June, Elk Live, it became available to consumers, and I guess maybe since, maybe I'm not so privy to it, but can you talk a little bit more about the evolution of this technology? What do you know about it?
What do I know about the technology? Well, I don't know a lot of the technical specifics, if that's what you mean, because that's, scientist stuff. But I know that basically what they do is they gather all the information up that usually causes the latency issues, and everything is dealt with in the cloud. And then that way you're mostly depending on the speed of light, which, even with the speed of light at 200 miles away, you've got a bit of a delay there. Mm-hmm. But they've somehow managed to make it so it's workable, and it's phenomenal. It feels like you're right there, and it's just, like I say, game-changing.
Oh, fantastic. Jeff, you got the next one?
Well, I just want to hear more about the process of when, you're recording with another bandmate, other side of the country.
Well, again, you put this device, you use an Ethernet cable, and you put this device between you put the internet cable in. You put this device in after your digital audio workstation. You send it to the device. You send what's in your DAW to this device. You use headphones out of this device to listen to everybody else, and then everything else is controlled in the cloud. And in the cloud and on their website, you have a mixer that allows you to change everybody's volume. You can use up to 4 people at once right now. So, and eventually they'll make it more, but 4 for now. And it's amazing. It works.
That's cool.
I guess, as we look at this technology as it is at the forefront, and you said they're going to be able to add more musicians to it. But that being said, is that how could you foresee this in the future? How could it get any better than it already is, except for adding more people to it?
Well, how can it get any better? Well, as internet connections get better, it'll get better there. The latency, what little bit of latency there is that is fairly undetectable at this point will probably go away when internet connections get more pure and faster. And when servers, a lot of times servers will bounce their signal back and forth to places because they're not expecting people to be playing in time together. So when servers get a little more local, where in other words, say we're playing in Los Angeles and all 4 of us are in the Los Angeles area, as long as the server stays local, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I mean, it sounds really cool because, instead of emailing the tracks back and forth, now you guys can actually communicate and kind of communicate with what your thought is for the song.
Yeah, for simultaneously, right?
Right. It's amazing.
Oh. As I was doing my homework on you, I discovered that not only, you're a multi-instrument musician that you are, that you also play the cello, which my daughter and Jeff's son...
my son plays cello.
He's a celloist as well. When did you start playing the cello, and is it still something you still work on today?
I started playing the cello when I was in 5th grade, so I was 11.
Yeah.
And no, I very, very, very rarely play it anymore. But every once in a while, I did a record, a Black Swan record a couple years ago, and I actually did an intro to one of the songs, and I played a cello quartet myself, which was kind of fun.
Yeah.
But I don't play it that often. But when I do, it sure is fun.
No, the thing is that my daughter, she's 2 years out of high school, and she got burned out her senior year of it. Jeff's son here, he's a sophomore. He's still involved with it. Did you ever get to the point during the height of your cello playing days where you just kind of got burned out with the instrument, or was it still a valuable thing to you all the way through?
No, I don't think I played it long enough to really do that, feel that.
Yeah.
But no, I still love the instrument. It's a tremendous instrument.
Well, I guess the next question goes, when it comes to playing live or in the studio, I guess at the moment, what is your gear of choice? Are you using the same stuff live that you use in the studio, or do you have your studio stuff and your live stuff? How does it work for you?
Well, when I play with Foreigner, I play Fender P bass. I love Fender P basses. I have all sorts of basses. So when I'm recording, my go-to is a Fender P bass, but I also have a beautiful 10-string bass made by Marvin. And, I've got lots of other basses, and sometimes you want a little bit different flavor. So with Foreigner, it's a Fender P bass. And live, I've actually started using the Kemper modeling amps, and it's amazing. And I actually I have a 71 Ampeg SVT that is just an ungodly great sounding amp, and I somehow sampled that, and it came out great, and so that's the sound I use with Foreigner live. And again, it was the first time I tried to sample anything, and I've tried to do a bunch of samples since, and none of them sound as good as that first one. So for whatever reason. But anyways, yeah, that's my live setup, and then like I say, in the studio, I do all sorts of things. I've been using the new SVT plugin, the SVT Suite, it's called, from Ampeg. Mm-hmm. They did an SVT plugin, and it's amazing. So, in the studio, I try all sorts of different things.
Oh, so cool. Jeff, you got the next one, or what?
What's on next for Foreigner? Are you guys heading back out on the road when you get a chance?
Yeah, we're leaving in the middle of February, and we start the year with a cruise. I know it's out of Miami. I believe it goes to St. Martin. And then, we start in doing our usual amphitheaters and theaters and all that kind of thing. Well, probably not a lot of outdoor amphitheaters until the spring. We're going to Europe in May, and then in July we start a big tour. So Nice. We're all good.
Oh, fantastic. As we see heritage acts such as Foreigner, have aged through the years, we see less and less original members in those heritage acts. Can you ever foresee a band like Foreigner to where they're going on without any original members left, where it's just the Foreigner name and it's non-original members carrying the torch for the name?
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, why not? Especially with a band like Foreigner, it's so about the songs, more so than anything else. So, yeah, I could definitely see that.
I know we're seeing bands like Yes doing it, and getting close to doing it. I know that we've heard Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley talk candidly about the same thing that could happen with Kiss. And I know we even talked to members of Kansas, and they've expressed the possibilities of that happening too. Do you see this kind of thing as as you look down the road, many of these heritage acts adopting this type of business model for the band and the music?
I do. It seems like a natural progression, and it's a business move. So yeah, I can.
Oh, very good.
Yeah,
the next one.
As long as they keep coming, I'll keep going.
Do you have the next question? Or do you want me to take the next question?
Well, I just want to talk a little bit about your newest, at least the newest one I'm aware of, the End Machine Phase 2. just came out in 2021. You guys had Mick Brown's son, Steve, join you on drums.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about the making of that album?
Yeah, well, it was great. I mean, George and I actually wrote and recorded all of his parts remotely because it was done during COVID. And we started that in the summer of 2020. It was interesting because, he and I had never, well, we did one remote project together before that, that we started in March, right when the pandemic happened. We started a project called Heavy Hitters, which was us doing cover songs, kind of rocking them out and doing interesting things with them. And that was our first try at something remote, which was great to get it, get our feet wet with that. Then we took on the M Machine record remotely, and because we've done Heavy Hitters, we sort of knew what to do, and we had the drill, and it came out great. Like I said, we'd never written before like that. Now, if we had the audio, we could have actually written together in real time.
Yeah.
But anyways, it worked out great. The thing is, then after that, the vocals were done in November, late in the fall, and things started, that was when things kind of backed off. So Robert came here to do all the vocals, and then we did the drums here with Steve in person. Then, of course, it started getting bad again. But yeah, all remote with George. Everybody else was done here live.
Oh, so cool.
Yeah, very cool.
With the overwhelming fan response to the End Machine and the Black Swan Band, as far as what we're looking at in the future with these two bands, how do you view these bands? Do you view them as an ongoing a band, or do you look at it as more of a project? I guess where's your headspace with all this right now?
Well, it's kind of hard to explain because it's kind of become a whole new paradigm. It would be a band. It would be a full-time band if we could, but it can't because that's the business right now.
Yeah.
So it's a band. It's a project with a lot of band elements to it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, in today's, I guess, landscape of music and rock and roll, and rock and roll not being at the forefront of pop culture anymore. Hopefully, it'll return soon. Do you find yourself as a musician and a businessman that to keep yourself involved with as many different bands / projects as you possibly can, to still be, I guess, maybe, I don't know if relevant, that's not the right word for it, but to, I guess, maybe to support yourself in the way that you would see it properly supporting yourself, I guess.
I'm not quite sure what you meant by the question.
All right, so I guess here's the thing. A lot of musicians feel as though that to accommodate their lifestyle, they have to be involved with many different bands to make sure that they maintain their lifestyle the way that they want to. What is your thoughts on that? Is it one of those kind of things where you feel like as though that, I just do what I do, I do what just interests me, or is it something that I need to do out of necessity? How does it work?
Well, honestly, I love to do a lot of stuff. I mean, I do. Although, as I get a little older, I wouldn't mind slowing down a little bit. I think I have a lot of projects. And I mean, obviously, if in an ideal world, you're in one band, you're in Led Zeppelin, and you put all your effort into that, and, you come up with all sorts of stuff. You have an endless palette because the musicians are great, and, that's the ideal world.
Right,
yeah.
But, like, Foreigner doesn't quite do enough new music for me. I need to be involved with making new music, so I have to do other projects. If Foreigner were constantly working on new material, I probably wouldn't need to do other projects, but it is what it is. So, and the thing is, I love working with the musicians I work with. I mean, George Lynch and I do a lot together, and that's because we love to work together, He just left here a few minutes ago, and it's because we're having a great time. We're doing another Heavy Hitters covers record, which is really
awesome.
fun. So, I mean, for me, don't tell anybody, but I would do this for nothing. That's kind of my dilemma. Is that for me, I would do this anyways. So, it's hard for me to look at it purely in monetary terms. But yeah, I guess I'm a little more spread out than I'd like to be, but that's the only way I can achieve what I want to achieve.
Well, it's fascinating to me that the supergroup type of thing fascinates me, because I know, and I can't speak for Jeff over here, but for instance, when I look at somebody like Jeff Pilson, I look up all the things that they've been involved with, and I'm a completist when it comes to things, and try to find out all the bands you've been a part of, and try to find as much stuff as I possibly can. And
sometimes I forgot you were in that band. So I'm like, I got that one. I own that one.
Do you ever find yourself to be, that musician that's, hey, I'm that super group for hire type of guy that goes into different situations? And let's face it, you've been a part of a lot of cool stuff. Do you just kind of feel like this, maybe that's just your kind of path in life?
Honestly, I don't give that a whole lot of thought. I kind of just try and sort of focus on whatever I'm doing at the moment. And again, I look at it as a whole new paradigm anyways. I mean, things are different for more than just me, So, I mean, I guess I can't give you much of a cool answer.
Well, fair enough. Jeff, go ahead. Get the next.
Well, I'm going to take it back a little bit because lately I've been digging into the End Machine and Black Swan, and of course I've always liked Lynch Mob and TNN and Dokken, but I discovered today a War and Peace. Wow. I actually ordered the Flesh and Blood Session CD because it blew me away. It was really awesome. And can you talk a little bit more about that project? You're the lead vocals, rhythm guitar on that project. How did that come about from going from being the bass player and Dokken to transitioning into like being your own frontman?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the genesis of War and Peace is I started working with this guy Michael Diamond, who became my best friend, and we had this great chemistry together. And we always kind of fantasized, because the writing was on the wall by the mid '80s that Dokken had a lot of problems. So I always kind of in the back of my mind had to think, well, what am I going to do if this completely falls apart? And the original intent was, well, I'll sing and we'll get Michael to play bass, and I'll get George and Mick to play guitar and drums. And that was kind of the fantasy. And then after Dokken broke up in '89, in early '89, everybody just went their separate ways, and we lost contact for a while. And George and Mick kind of didn't call me back, and I was already kind of involved with this thing. So I got Vinny Appice and Randy Hansen to play guitar and drums.
Nice. And
we started rehearsing, and then we ended up recording what became the Flesh and Blood Sessions. And I felt like, wow, this could be a really great band. And that was the deal but then we ran into some problems because Vinny was still in PO, and there was all this other stuff going on, so it kind of became convoluted there. But it was that was a project that I just felt so great about, because it was, because I knew Dokken probably had its days numbered.
Yeah, very good. All right, so I wanted to change gears on you and talk a little bit about Wild Horses and the Bareback album. I want you to put these rumors to rest for us. All right, so there's all these like internet clickbait things about that album. And the rumors, outside of you producing that album, there are rumors that you were the bassist on every track on that album. And we just want to know what your official contribution of that album actually was. Can you shed some light?
That's the first Wild Horses, Bareback.
Yeah.
I did not produce it. That was produced by Keith Olsen.
Okay.
Who is great. Engineered by a guy by the name of Shea Baby. Keith Olsen is no longer with us, unfortunately. I love Keith to pieces. But Shea is. I've talked to him not that long ago. So they produced and engineered. I did play bass on all the tracks. And basically, I was brought in as a for-hire bass player. I mean, they wanted me to be in the band, but I did have War and Peace at that time, and I told them that, and they understood. So They ended up getting somebody else to play bass live, but I did play on that record. And then I played on another Wild Horses record years later, and I didn't produce that one either.
So there is just a ton of discussion on on the internet about that album, and there's arguments like Jeff Pilson play on every track, whatever else. There's arguments. People, no, he didn't. He's not listed as the primary bass player on the album. Blah blah this. But you've shed light, and now we know the truth.
It's a good album too.
Wait a minute, hold on. I gotta look at this. I thought I was listed as bass player on that record.
I thought when we looked it up, it was additional musicians, and you were listed.
Oh, that could be.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, here we go. Bareback. Hold on. Hold on. Where is it listed? Huh. Oh, there's a little booklet. I've seen this in so long. Yeah, and I'm in the picture. Well, that's what it was. Is by the time they did the booklet, they had a bass player for live, so they didn't want to, squelch him too much.
Well, hey, now we know. Now
he's a great bass player too, so he should. I am. I'm just additional musician. Yeah, I actually played on the whole record. Yes, I did.
Very cool.
And now we know the truth.
Yeah.
The truth.
Yeah.
Is, Jeff, you got the next question.
What's in store for Black Swan? Will there be a second album?
Oh, yeah, it's done.
Awesome. Yeah.
It's coming in April. Yeah, it's amazing. It is, if anything, I think stronger than the last record.
Oh wow.
We're very, very excited about it.
Now you better live up to it because now we have high expectations.
That was one of my favorite albums of 2021. Or 2020, sorry.
2020, right.
Yeah.
No, it's coming out in April, and if you love that record, you're going to love this record.
Awesome.
I'll tell you that right now.
All right.
It's really, really great.
We're excited now. So, it wouldn't behoove us if we didn't ask you a Dokken question. So, as we look on the back of the body of work of your time in Dokken, is there an album that you feel wasn't the best interpretation of the band during your time in the band?
I mean, I think notoriously most fans hate Shadow Life, so I have to acknowledge that is not a very Dokken-y sounding record. We were trying to, we made the fatal mistake of trying to be cool when it was not time to be cool. So that, there's still things on the record I really like. And I know what we were trying to do, and I thought we accomplished something. I thought we did sort of redefine ourselves in some ways. It just wasn't right, Yeah. It wasn't something the fans wanted. So I would definitely acknowledge that record as being problematic. But I mean, overall, most of the Dokken records were, that I've played on, I think were pretty strong.
Absolutely,
absolutely, yeah.
I always try to think out of the box when forming the questions. Everybody would say, "What was your favorite Dokken album that you were on?" I was like, "Well, what?" I always think, "Well, what is maybe not the best interpretation during your time?"
Yeah, if you would have said Tooth and Nail, I'd have been, "No way."
Well, in some ways, Tooth and Nail is the best one for representing the band.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, definitely.
Under Lock and Key is, kind of, there's a lot of great songs on that. I have a hard time listening to the production of Under Lock and Key when I hear it now. There's so much reverb on it, and it's so kind of overdone. Tooth and Nail's a little rawer, which I like. But I think if Under Lock and Key got remixed to be a little more in your face, it would be amazing.
Yeah.
Well said.
Well, we were blessed. We got to see. I've seen Dokken a few times, but they were most recently here in the Quad Cities. They had George Lynch came back on stage for a couple of songs, and the place just went wild.
Yeah, it was very cool. All right, so Jeff, we have
George is playing great these days, man. He's really playing great.
Absolutely. So we have one last question for you, and then we'll leave you alone for the evening. Deal?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the internet has done great things for music, and it's done a lot of horrible things. And one thing that always kind of disturbs me about the internet is it kind of sucked the mystery away from rock and roll. There's just no more mystery left with artists, what have you. Everything's just kind of out there. The cat's out of the bag. And, for you, as you went through the years of the mystery of rock and roll, and now, obviously you're in the now. How do you, kind of look back on rock and roll? Do you prefer the mystery, or do you like the accessibility that fans have with you now?
I like the accessibility. I like the interaction with the internet. I love that. I understand about the mystery thing, but to me, the biggest problem with the internet is that all of a sudden music became free, and people, the whole idea of buying records went away, and that's not fans' fault. That's record companies for being way too greedy. Because remember when they tried to charge $17.99 for a CD?
Yes.
Well, while they were doing that, you realize that the artists like us were not getting paid any more than if we sold a cassette, and that, but that blew up in their face, and they severely paid the price for that. Nobody's figured out the right business model yet. Everything's changed, and it's changed forever. But what has it changed to? And nobody's really, really figured that out yet. So I will be curious to see what happens when they really, really figure that shit out. And then I hope the internet can be a tool for good. I hope they can figure a way to monetize selling music over the internet that really makes sense. Because streaming, what a joke.
Yeah.
You make like bazillionth of a cent for a stream, and it's something like Pharrell Happy, Happy got something like 50 million streams or something, and he made like $40,000. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's insane. So, they've got to fix that stuff. And when they do, I think the internet can be something good. In the meantime, it's a great communication tool. And it's a great way to find music. But it's, I still miss the experience of a 12-inch LP.
Yes.
You open that double album cover, even if there's only a single album inside, but that cover, you open it up, you read all the stuff, the size of it, the feel of it, everything made the experience so much better. And that's just not an old guy, wishing it was like the past. It was a genuine experience, and I think people have been missing that ever since vinyl went away, from being the mainstream. There's vinyl out there, and there's a lot of people that appreciate it, but it's not the mainstream thing. Even CDs aren't the mainstream thing anymore. So,
right.
Yeah.
I think somebody's got to figure out a way of making the modern music distribution feel as good as what you got when you got that vinyl record and you opened it up and you rolled a joint with the double thing open and all that kind of stuff. You need to figure out that equivalent on the internet. When they do, music will be a better experience.
Well, what is your thought process of the tangible product? Like you're talking about the vinyl, you're talking about CD. Do you ever foresee the actual tangible product put in our hand, feeling it, reading it, listening to it all at the same time, as being back to a popular culture thing to do for young people? Or do you think that those days are gone and never coming back?
Let me think on that. Those days are probably never coming back. But again, I think there's going to be, somebody's going to figure out an equivalent that makes it work. Yeah. So let's hope for that.
Absolutely.
I just hope, because we said the same thing about vinyl and it came back. So I'm a CD collector, so I keep hoping it's going to come back.
Gotcha.
Well,
get it all. I really do.
Absolutely. So we're out of our allotted time for this evening. Is there anything that you would like to plug or promote that we did not cover tonight?
No, I think we got it all. Foreigner, new M Machine that's out, or the M Machine that's been out for close to a year now. But and Black Swan coming in April. Another heavy hitter's coming probably in the fall.
Nice.
And then come to a Foreigner show soon because we'll be near you.
Oh, yeah. Fantastic. All right, so this is how it's going to work. We have about 3 to 4 episodes to release before yours, so we're looking at about, 3 to 4 weeks before this episode comes out. We'll make sure we send it to your PR people immediately after Jeff, the editing wizard over here, gets it all ready for you. And then please share it on your socials wherever you can. We'd appreciate it. Yeah.
No problem, man. Well, thank you. This has been a real pleasure.
It's been a pleasure getting to know you, but thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
Hey, me too, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Be well.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye.
Can't do it here. Hey. Everybody eyes the gun and screams inside their head. Everybody bites their tongue and pays their bills instead. Hide in the spotlights, fight the grip of death. You can have the air you need, but you best not take one breath. Hey. Roll the dice. Take your chances. Everybody knows the game is fixed, there is no prize. Everybody pulls the plug and says their last goodbyes. Move to the sunshine, fight the grip of nights. If they ever take from